What's going on, everybody? Nick at the Long Haul Fitness Podcast again. Today, I'm super excited to have my boy Gunnar Anderson on. Just a little background on why I'm bringing Gunnar on and who he is if you don't know him already. We were in the same fraternity in college, and he is one of the inspirations for why I have become who I am and why I really dove so far into fitness. We'll definitely get into that. That's something I really want to talk about, man. But how are you, dude? It's been a long fucking time.
Yeah, it's been multiple years.
Yeah,
I'm doing really, considering the state of the world, I'm doing pretty well.
good, man. I'm glad.
If I start randomly shivering in the middle of the interview, I took the bedroom office. My girlfriend works out in the living room, so I sit right under the AC. So if I start like shivering, that's why.
Are you in Cali now?
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay, cool. How has that been during this?
Oh man, it kind of turned into a ghost town.
Really?
Like 3 months ago. Yeah, it's they were very, very strict on the whole the entire mandate of the shutdown right when this started. I feel like California was one of the first places to, and hopefully that was what kind of kept us as the numbers as low as they were, and they weren't low, but hopefully that response was kind of the saving grace.
Yeah, and then Texas has been like, we shut down
I forgot you're in Texas. That's right.
Yeah, finally. It's been about a year now, man. I love it out here. But we shut down like right in the middle. We weren't like the first and we weren't the last, but we were like one of the first to open back up. So I've been back to work for like almost a month now. So it's been nice.
So I could have easily Googled this, but how is Texas now that if you say you've been open up for about a month, what does that look like? I mean, are cases spiking or?
To be completely honest, man, I've been working so much that I'm not paying attention to it, and I don't pay for live TV, so I haven't.
Probably not an unhealthy thing to do. But.
Yeah, dude, it keeps me from being negative, man. I mean, it's easy to get that way, but so far I haven't heard anything. Like usually I get my news pretty quickly through word of mouth because the people that I work with are like the members at Equinox, like watch the news constantly. That's like what all the TVs are on. So usually I hear things fairly quickly, and I haven't heard anything yet, but there's still like a lot of regulations. It's not like just free range right now, but people are definitely getting back to where it's just like, all right, fuck it.
So you're with Equinox now?
Yeah. So,
okay, that's cool.
So the whole arc of Texas, I moved out here back end of last August after visiting Elam, one of our other fraternity brothers. After visiting him, moved out here in August, and when I first got here, I didn't have a job, but I had already gotten my personal training certification. So I knew, I was like, I can get a personal training job anywhere. Like, it's not going to be that hard. So I got the apartment and just started looking for jobs right away. Started off at LA Fitness, and I don't know if you never worked for LA, did you?
I work for them currently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've worked for, I've at least done like 50% of my clients in person at LA Fitness.
Really? Dude, I don't know.
For like a year.
I honestly hate it.
I mean, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
That being said, I would not hate if you have a way to plug me into Equinox. That would be pretty cool.
So I hated it, man. The guys that I worked with were just kind of scumbags, to be completely honest. And the pay was awful. I had between 30 and 40 clients, and the highest my paycheck ever was like $400. So it was just a massive headache. Yeah, dude, it was awful. It was a massive headache. And like halfway between like a month or two into working at LA, I was like, I'm going to run out of money. I can't do this. My boy found me a bouncing job at this place called Concrete Cowboy out here. And that has just been a godsend as far as like keeping me afloat. So I've got both those jobs. But so when I started working at Concrete Cowboy, one of the other door guys was already a trainer at Equinox. And when I started voicing my opinion about LA Fitness and how much they sucked out here, he was like, dude, put in an application at Equinox. And at first I didn't want to do it because I actually live in McKinney, Texas, which is about 30 minutes outside of Dallas. and my job offer was for the Dallas location. So like I've been commuting, and I really didn't want to do that because I'm not going to talk to you about traffic because I can't like LA
Nobody
traffic is
gets to
on
talk
another
to me
level.
about traffic.
But yeah, I mean, I have to leave an hour. I have to leave an hour ahead of time to get there when it's busy. But a lot of people are still working from home right now, so it's like only a 30-minute drive, which is not bad at
That's
all.
nice. That's nice.
Yeah, that's not bad. But yeah, man,
I guess
great.
I guess the LA fitness thing is, it must be state by state or region by region, because the experience that I had in Atlanta was wonderful. Loved the people I worked with, made good money. I was a master trainer, still am. And then moving out here, same thing, wonderful people.
Nice.
And then just the clients especially have been great. So that's,
yeah.
I mean, that's such a minor part of my like job that it's just kind of like,
yeah, it's obviously got to be different state to state or something, because it was fucking awful here. But I mean, everything leads to one place, you know. I mean, it all comes together. But so, I mean, I already kind of alluded to one of the main reasons I wanted to talk to you today. In the beginning of this intro is like when I first met you. So we met in 2012, like, because I didn't start coming around until my second semester of freshman year. So it was 2012 at UNCG, and I remember Sean Stamos. Anytime a story starts with Sean Stamos, it's going to get weird. But Sean Stamos went to one of y'all's parties on like a Friday night, and I didn't go. I stayed at the dorm room, and he comes back and starts telling me about this story, just about the biggest guy he's ever seen in his entire life at the house. And like at the time I was just starting to get into weightlifting and stuff. So I was like, interesting. And then obviously he was talking about the parties and stuff y'all were having as well. So I was like, interesting. And I remember walking into the house and he was like, there he is right there. And he points at you. And at the time I think you were probably like 250.
I've never been above like 228. So that was the heaviest, the heaviest I ever got was 228.
Dude, well,
I didn't look good.
It was all in the arms. All of the weight, like a solid 75% was right here.
Probably.
I remember your arms were about to blow out of these sleeves, and I was like, what the fuck? And then once I joined SIGEP and whatnot and got to know you, like we kind of hit it off as far as that. But the coolest part about all this now, looking back on it, is not realizing how I guess insecure is the best word to use for it. You were at the time, because for people who don't know, what's it called? Like it doesn't.
It's called Poland syndrome. It's just like a lack of development on one side, and it presents itself in the chest, and it can be worse.
Yeah,
like it can affect like your whole arm. But I have a very like mild case of it.
Yeah. And, so for people who didn't catch that, Gunnar, was it the left or the right side?
Right side.
So his right pec is only like the top portion, so just the up pec minor, right?
So I thought that's what it was. I have the entire pec minor and half of the pec major.
Oh,
so it's like a lot of people just have nothing here. And so I was lucky. I have like the upper part, which that's why you can't tell like if I'm wearing like a shirt or anything.
Right. Yeah. So basically from like here down, you have no chest muscle. So at the time, I didn't even know you had it because you were always wearing a shirt. But then I saw you one time at the pool and it was gone. And I was like, whoa. Like the first time I saw it, you know, it kind of like anytime you see something like that, it catches you off guard a little bit. But
hence the insecurity.
Right, sure. And it was cool to watch this transformation that you made when you started the One Pec Wonder Instagram page, which was your original starting point. And once you started talking about how insecure you were about it and like why you got so big and why you felt the need to do that, it was very like close to my heart, because I was kind of the same way, just by being small. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't missing muscle. But I always had this desire to look powerful because I was small, you know what I'm saying, from being picked on and shit like that. So it kind of clicked with me when I saw that on your page. And I think that's why your following took off so fast and why Louis Marco did that video on you. You know, like I remember that just like skyrocketed things. And when people saw just how you took it by the balls, it was like, this is who I am and this is what I deal with. Like it really, you seemed like a different person from that point, you know, like there's the Gunnar prior to the One Peck Wonder and there's the Gunnar that there is now. And I think that's even changed, but it's been really cool to watch that, man. So I have to give you props for that right there.
Thank you. And I think you mentioned the Gunnar before the One Peck Wonder versus Gunnar now, or however you phrased it. But I mean, I think a lot of that is just, you know, you grow up,
right?
And you kind of I think especially in college, and I started the One Peck Wonder when I was a junior or senior in college.
Yeah.
And I think there's just kind of, you find out who you are and you find out what's important and you find out just kind of your own value as a human being. And it was literally kind of like overnight, I just realized how little that mattered.
Right.
And I think I had been going to the gym consistently. I had been getting, you know, I mean, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I mean, I'd been getting compliments on like my physique for a long time. And I realized that people were more impressed with the physique given the fact that I was missing muscle. And it just kind of clicked overnight. Like, wow, I guess what I have, you know, the pushing through this is kind of a source of inspiration for some people. So, I mean, I think that's kind of the initial change.
Right. For sure. Yeah. I mean, because that was another point I wanted to make is like, there was never an imbalance to your physique. Like, you only competed that one time, right?
Yeah. And I hated it. I hated it. Yeah.
I mean, you look great on stage and there was no like, you're very symmetrical minus just that. Like your body left to right, front to back is very symmetrical. And it's something that probably most people would want to have, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah. And I think if I hadn't been, you know, dealt the hand of missing a muscle, I don't think there would have been as much symmetry, as odd as that sounds, because it became an obsession. Like if this part's not symmetrical, everything else has to be.
Sure.
And I think that was kind of like if you go back to like high school days, that was kind of the jumping off point. Well, if I'm missing this muscle, everything else just has to be massive.
Right.
And it didn't matter like body fat percentage or anything like that. I mean, it was all about just size.
I still remember you showing me those pictures of you meeting with a certain coach that we won't mention his name on here, in front of those.
You know what? I don't remember his name, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'll tell you later. I know exactly who it is, but in front of those.
Because we went to the same guy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He gave us the same diet. Because we talked about it. You showed it to me.
Yeah, he put us on the same diet. We had totally different frames.
Yeah, it was the same. It was literally like word for word the same diet.
Actually, no. I didn't get it from him. I got it from somebody who trained under him, because I never trained with, can we call him like Steve. Rob? Okay, Rob. Steve. Rob. We'll call him Rob. I genuinely don't remember his name.
But fine. It's not important.
I trained with Rob one time, and it was for posing, because I'd been training with Rob's protege for a long time. Mm-hmm. And Rob's protege was like, he had given me this very standard diet, and I was paying him, you know, a small fortune for myself, having just graduated from college. And he gave me this very generic diet. And, you know, the workouts were great and the workouts were hard and I learned a lot. And then when I was like, we were like something like 3 weeks out from a competition, and I was like, I think I have to do something on stage. Like, I'm pretty sure there's like a routine or something that I have to do. My trainer was like, oh yeah, we'll send you to Rob. And I was like, who's Rob? Like, what do you mean? Just tell me what to do. It can't be that hard. I've seen it. And then, so I went to Rob, and he gave me this absurd posing routine. And I'm doing men's physique. The posing should be 1, 2, 3, and then the back.
Yeah.
There's no there's no fluidity to it. There's no like arm raising. And he was like, you got to raise your arms. You got to do it. I guess there was like some like, what is it? Classic physique.
Yeah.
Now they have I guess classic and men's physique were kind of like meshing at that time before classic had its own category. But I just remember I got on stage and I was just like, I was like in the middle of like raising my arms up and I was like, nobody else is doing this. I feel like a dumbass. But it was, that's funny that, yeah, not for me though, not for me.
Yeah, but it's just so funny that we looked at, like, you showed me your diet and it was the same one that I had. He was awful. See, I actually went to him directly as a coach to get ready for a show, and I saw him like 3 times. He had no communication with me. He didn't tell me what to do for peak week. After prejudging, he told me I wasn't dark enough. It was like a disaster. I looked.
My guy told me I wasn't dark enough too.
Yeah, I was. It was awful. I looked awful, but I enjoyed the experience in getting on stage and doing something I hadn't done before. And that's like, I just kind of got that bug from there. So we have opposite reactions with that.
Props to you, because I graduated before I did my first show. I think you did your first show while you were still in college. That's hard.
I did.
That's really hard.
I competed almost my entire time in college.
That's really difficult.
So
to sustain the temptations of college and beer drinking and things like that.
It's really funny that you say that, because me and Mike had this conversation a while back. I think it was actually my first or second trip here. We had been out drinking and we're like really drunk, and we ended up going off on our own and going back to his place for a minute, and then we were going to meet back up with everybody, and we just started having one of those deep bro conversations, right? And do you remember, you were still in college when I got jumped, weren't you? Or
I think I was. Yeah, I think that was my senior. Yeah, that was my senior year.
Yeah. So he
junior or senior year.
Yeah, he had.
Because we were both living at the province, right?
I think so. Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I remember specifically, but I know we were linked up at some point. That was, I think that was my 3rd year there, but my 2nd year in kinesiology. So I was kind of like a sophomore, junior-ish.
Okay.
So he brought something to light to me that I didn't even realize for myself. He was like, that's really when I noticed a change in you, and that you started to really pursue the bodybuilding thing. And when you started to step back from all the craziness and you became a different person. And I didn't even see it that way. It was just like, it was really eye-opening when he said that. It was like another point in my life where getting bigger was the way to not get hurt again. You know what I'm saying? So like I almost bunkered down into my insecurities more after that. And after that point is kind of when I stopped partying, kind of when I stopped like going to events and stuff. And I started kind of backing away from the fraternity, because I actually went alumni before my last year of college. My last year, I had nothing to do with the fraternity. So it's funny that you say that, but I competed my entire time in college. I remember there was one point in the kinesiology program where we had to train a client at the rec center, and I was doing fasted cardio as well. So I was getting up at 4, doing fasted cardio, training that client, going to class until the afternoon, working out, going to complete nutrition, going to do cardio again, and then going to sleep and repeating the process every day.
Oh, let's circle back to complete nutrition in a little bit. But
we can definitely talk about that.
But I remember, first of all, I remember when you got jumped, and I remember like the initial was like reaction. Somebody said, "Oh, Bagley got jumped," and I was like, "What? Like pushed?" No. And then we saw like the pictures, and we were like, "Oh, like you're very lucky. Like that that was a very serious. There's no joke about it. That was a very I'm not surprised at all that you kind of." And it's funny you say craziness. We did go to UNCG. Things were never that crazy.
I mean, crazy for me, bro. I didn't drink until like the month before college.
Me either. Me either. Me either.
So my level of crazy is a lot lower than most.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand 100% why you would step away from that. And maybe I didn't back then, but there was never like, when you get a bunch of guys together and one guy gets hit, I think it's very easy to be like, oh, he should have shrugged it off. There was nobody saying that. Everybody was like, oh, Bagley's taking a step back. Yeah, I get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, so that being said, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But I also very distinctly remember I was dating a girl, and I won't use her name, but I was dating a girl, and a few of us were talking about like how much you work out, how much you train. And I remember her being like, well, why don't you look like that? You work out that much, you train that much. And I was like, what?
No, she didn't.
And it was the first time I ever like stepped back and was like, yeah, I'm really heavy, I'm really big, but I just don't look good. And it was like, I remember seeing Pumping Iron. And I remember the statistics. Arnold Schwarzenegger, 28 years old, 6'2", 240 pounds.
Jesus.
And
you got that memorized, huh?
Yeah. And I remember thinking, wait, I'm 6 feet tall. Like, that's the bare minimum. I'm 6 feet tall. I'm not a hair shorter, not a hair higher. And I was weighing 228. And I was like, Arnold Schwarzenegger's 2 inches taller than me, he weighs 240. I must look pretty good. You know? Like, I didn't really think about the fact that there's like so much difference in body fat. And I was just like, but she said that, and I was like, I guess he must just be working harder than me. And it was just kind of this like revelation moment where I was like, oh, there's a little bit more to it than eating Mimi's Kitchen all the time and going to the gym 5 days a week for 3 hours a day or whatever we were doing.
Kitchen,
but
Jesus, memories right there.
That's funny. Yeah, that's really funny.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I forgot that you used to work for Complete Nutrition. Like,
yeah,
you worked for Complete Nutrition when it was Complete Nutrition. When it was like the place that you went and people were like, hey, let me get the shit in the back.
Dude, there was a lot of
hormones and shit when they first came out.
I don't know.
Fucking crazy.
I don't know what the like. Is Complete Nutrition still a store?
No.
Are there still Complete Nutritions?
So I think there are, but the franchise that I worked for is no longer. Well, there are some stores left, but most of them are under other, like they've been bought out and they're now independent single stores.
I remember working there, and again, let's not use any real names.
You worked under a different owner too, so it was.
I did.
It was very different cultures at the time.
But when I first went in there, and I went in there maybe my freshman year or something like that, when I went in there and I talked to the guy who was the owner, and he tried to sell me on like stuff that I can't even pronounce.
Oh yeah.
And it was just like, oh, come to the back. And it was just like, I don't want to go to the back with you. Like, I'm just here for protein powder, man. I'm like 18 years old. I don't need anything like that. Yeah. And I remember I would hear stories of like, all these, everybody gets their steroids from Complete Nutrition. And I never thought about that. Flash forward a couple years, I was working at Complete Nutrition, and there were people that would come to the back, and one of the girls that would work there would like give them injections in the store.
What?
Like in the back of the store. Yes.
Wait,
like injections.
When I worked there, that never happened. It was different, different companies.
And I remember I was just like, and there were like rumors that I was on steroids or whatever. And if you see the photos of me, you know that I was not on steroids. Like that was pure hamburgers and like Chinese food on the weekends. You know what I mean? And
you eat 2 gigantic fucking Chipotle burritos, and I'm talking
that was my
head burrito. 2 of them.
That was my thing. I had an appetite, and I knew how to lift weights. That's why I got big. But I remember
that much you eat made no sense at all. It didn't make any sense.
but I do remember being an employee of the store, and I got hired right around the time when things were like, they were like forcing people to clean up.
Yeah.
And I think I was brought in there as like quote unquote new blood, as like, you know, we'll flesh out some of the shady people and, you know,
Yeah.
do some of the new things.
Yeah, because the guy
Um,
who owned it previously, he was going under because he was just giving free shit to people like left and right.
dude, I was at Wrightsville Beach, and and it was storming on the beach. I was there with Evan and Ryan, and I don't remember who else, but I like dove into a wave and I came up, and all of a sudden I was face to face with the guy, like just totally random. And I was like, John, like, what are you? And he was like, oh, hey, bro. And then he like had a boogie board or something, and he like just dove back into the water. I saw him for like 2 seconds. He was
What?
just gone.
So
It was the most random thing ever. But
man.
yeah, and then I actually I quit complete nutrition because they wouldn't work with me on my hours.
Yeah.
And then I got a job at GNC, like right down, you know, the Friendly Center. Complete Nutrition's here, GNC's right here. I was like, I could see Complete Nutrition from GNC. It was funny.
Oh yeah, I remember that, man. But yeah, it's funny looking back on college because I really think not only yourself, but there at the time, SIGEP, the rumor was that like everyone in SIGEP was on steroids. Um, that was because I
Did
mean,
you see everyone in the cigarette?
yeah, I know. But I mean, the people that they always pointed to, it makes sense why people said that. Most people didn't see you shirtless. Most people just saw you in a shirt and your arms were like this huge. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, maybe. Brandon Wilson, Brandon's just got crazy genetics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he's a like superior athlete to
Right.
pretty
Most
much everybody else. Yeah.
fucking Evan, who has the most perfect pecs on the planet.
Well,
And
Evan's another. He's got
exactly.
freak genetics.
He doesn't, I don't like, he barely works out and he'll get massive. I remember that shit in
Yeah.
college. It was like, it made no sense.
I lived with him. It was frustrating.
And then Colin, who was just stupid strong and
Mm-hmm.
crazy athletic. So like the four guys that everybody pointed to was those four, and y'all really were like a big motivation for me to really dive into what I did, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
I saw all that. I saw that at the time, I mean, I was like 170, 180 pounds. I was tiny and wanted to be bigger and had a desire to be bigger. And that's what you guys did.
Can I just say that I weigh like 177 now?
Nice.
So that's just for comparison of like, you know, where we are and where we've been.
I mean, I still follow the page and I see the pictures you put up every so often. I mean, you look great, man. You still have
Thank
that
you.
tree. You're still very lean. But I know you've kind of you've really transitioned out of like the full
Had to.
fitness thing. Like,
Yeah.
you're doing like acting and stuff now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that started in Atlanta when you moved to Atlanta. How long ago was that?
Well, it started when I was like 5.
Well,
But I mean,
I'm
I
talking
think
about
there
like
was,
your focus on it.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. So I mean, low key took theater classes in college, and everybody gave me shit for wanting to be an English major and studying theater and English and writing. And so I just kind of kept it close to myself because I was hanging around a bunch of athletes all the time.
Oh yeah.
So when I graduated, that was when I really was able to just kind of stick my head into it and really start studying. And then I moved to Atlanta, and that was when I got my first agent and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
got my first.
What year was that? When did you move to Atlanta?
I moved to Atlanta in 2017, 2016.
Okay.
2016. Yeah.
And that's when you started like really doing it. So what all have you been in so far? I know there was a movie that you were in a little while back.
Yeah, I did. I've done a few TV shows. I've done a couple movies, and a couple things that are coming out that I can't really say yet. But
yeah, I get how that is.
yeah, it's been. I was lucky in Atlanta. I was just. I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people move to LA and they just kind of get lost in the shuffle because they have no resume. They have nothing to, say for themselves other than I'm an actor and I'm here. And I think moving to Atlanta and starting in kind of the smaller market, where you're auditioning for, smaller roles where you're only going to be on set for a day or so, but you still get these credits, you still get the experience. And I booked a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So when I kind of woke up one day and my girlfriend was the same way, and we kind of looked at each other and we said, probably time that, we have a resume, we should go. And we went.
That's awesome, man. It's been really cool. And how long have y'all been together now?
Oh man, we've been together. We just celebrated our 4 years.
That's awesome. Man.
So it's been a long time. Yeah.
So pretty much.
And man,
Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, so I met her when I was studying at a place in North Carolina. And we started dating. We both knew that we were both moving to Atlanta. She moved to Atlanta right after she graduated. We did long distance for 6 months and then I moved there.
Yeah.
We did Atlanta together for, I think, over a year, 2 years. And then we did LA together, did the trip to LA. And then pretty much exactly a year after we made the tremendous move to LA, we did COVID together. So we've been, our relationship is very strong.
That's good, man. I'm very glad to hear that. I know a lot of people can't say that. A lot of people, I'm sure a lot of relationships have gotten destroyed.
Can you, I know a couple of people that have done this. I have a couple of friends that have done this, but can you imagine like having been dating a girl for, or dating someone, guy or girl, for a couple months and making the decision, yeah, we should move in together?
Oh yeah, I did it.
And then getting quarantined together though?
Oh fuck no, dude.
Like trial by fire, man. I mean, that's gotta be that's gotta be the test of all tests.
Yeah, you never really spent a lot of time with me and my ex, but I'd have killed her.
I probably shouldn't say that, but I
did. So
it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I'm sure a lot of good relationships got messed up by this. So it's good to hear that you guys are.
But then they probably weren't good relationships.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably.
You know what I mean? So I mean, there's probably give and take to both. So.
Yeah, for sure, that's true. But so are you like? Are auditions and stuff open right now, or is like there?
That's funny, man. I literally, so yesterday I got my first audition in 13 weeks.
Really?
The industry had to they're like anything else. They just shut down completely.
Yeah. So have you been able to record any of the stuff you're working on, or?
Well, so we did a bunch of stuff. Like a lot of casting directors did things like open calls and things, and they were very much like, it was really nice because a lot of the casting directors were like, let's get these actors something to keep them sharp. You know what I mean? And so we had a lot of opportunities to, read for casting directors that maybe we hadn't auditioned for yet or something like that. So that was really cool. Acting class went entirely online. I just had a lot of time to just kind of build this. There was nothing else to really focus on for a long time. So, I mean, I think a lot of us just kind of dove in, and hopefully we're all stronger actors because of it.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're starting to get some stuff again.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Just, I mean, this is a 4-page audition. It's not even that big, but it's just so exciting to be just kind of like back into it.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Cool.
I got my first client came back this week, this week, sorry. And I was like, yes, time to start doing something again. And then
oh my God, it's so funny. It's like, so I got this yesterday, and then I got an email this morning that said that the gyms are reopening on Monday. And I don't know where you stand in I don't know what to call it. Can I tell you something weird though?
Yes. Please.
So there's this book, right, that my friend has, and it's I don't remember the exact title, but it's basically like things that will like rock humanity to its core. Mm-hmm. And there's this little paragraph in one of the chapters that says, in 2020, a new respiratory illness will emerge, and it will bring society to its knees. And then it will disappear as quickly as it came. And it's just like 2020, respiratory illness. It hit us hard. And now it's just like, wait, I haven't auditioned. Oh, wait, the gym's open. It's like, oh, restaurants are open. It's like, wait, where'd it go? Like, oh, there's protests everywhere. Like, it's just like people, like, I think people just said enough.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, and I think
people said enough because of a certain reason with like the whole George Floyd thing. I don't want to really get off on that, but I mean,
we can, but it's, I mean,
I don't want to.
I was talking specifically about like COVID, and I'm not saying enough is smart. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I think after, you know, I think we'll see we're either going to see a spike or we're going to see that it wasn't as contagious as we thought. It's like, you know, I don't know. Some people say this, some people say that.
Yeah.
Do what?
The latter. I think it's going to be, well, it wasn't as bad as we thought.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
I do too, but I mean, I'm hearing a lot of things. I just heard something that apparently asymptomatic people can't pass it, but I know there's
and then they released something else that was like, oh, that wasn't accurate. Like, don't listen. There's no official statement on anything. It's like too many different people reporting different things. It's like nobody knows about this disease. Really, nobody knows about this disease. It's too new.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely annoying to hear both sides constantly, where it's just like you don't ever know what information is right, what's wrong. You know,
it's also interesting. Do you know anybody who was affected by it personally?
No, not personally. A friend of mine had someone who actually passed away, but I didn't know them. No one I know got it. I mean, everybody thinks they had it at some point. I was really sick in like November, December, so who knows? But
yeah,
but
I think the people that are more concerned with it and take it. I mean, not that you're not. I don't know what you've been doing. I don't know if you've taken it seriously or not. But I feel like the smaller your circle gets, like one of my girlfriend had a family member or a family friend who passed away from it. And I think the smaller your circle gets and the more you see people that are close to you that have actually had it or passed away from it, I think the more serious you take it.
Oh,
so sure. We've taken it, you know, and also I think where you live, people in California took it very seriously because we shut everything down. You had no choice but to take it seriously.
Yeah.
So I think, but again, I don't know. Nobody knows. We're either going to see that it's not as bad or that we moved way too fast and we have to go back to where we started. So
yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be interesting.
I think it comes down to one of those things where doing what you and I do already of taking care of our bodies, eating right, eating healthy, all that kind of stuff really comes into play with this. I mean, there are certain cases where young people have gotten it and stuff like that. But I mean, I think for the most part, if you're a fairly healthy person, that it won't be too.
Well, that was why everybody got so up in arms about them saying, well, you can't spread it asymptomatically as easily as you thought, because I've never been particularly worried about myself getting it. I mean, I've had the flu, I've had mono, they're both awful. I don't want them. And if COVID is worse than both of those, I definitely don't want it. But would it kill me? Chances are slim. You know what I mean? Like statistically, chances are slim. But my girlfriend gets sick easier than I do. I know that other people get sick easier than I do. And if I'm going to be like going to the grocery store and stuff like that, I mean, I think that was kind of the mentality that California, especially Los Angeles, adapted, was protect everybody else. Don't treat it like you yourself could get it. Just treat it like you could give it to somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And,
I get that. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be going kind of back to normal life at the moment. You know, I mean, it was.
So how did you adapt your training? Like if the gym's closed and stuff like that?
I didn't.
You didn't? You just, that's fascinating. So, I would not expect that.
So, well, all right. So there's a whole story behind it. So I told you in a text message when I first reached out that I'm expecting my first kid.
Yes, congratulations. But I didn't know if we were saying that, but congratulations.
Yeah, man. I've got it all out there. I've got it on Instagram. He's trying to squat Christina in half. He's just like constantly kicking and stuff.
Yeah.
But What was I saying? Oh, so I found out about a month before the shutdown. So
Oh, wow.
I still hadn't really dealt with it and wrapped my head around it because Christina and I are in a co-parenting situation. Okay, so we did not see a future together, like marriage and continuing down that path, and didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to put stress on the relationship as a whole, for the betterment of our son, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's got two girls as well already from a previous marriage. So there's a lot that kind of goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, I've said it a few times in other interviews, I wasn't depressed, but I was in this weird headspace where I was just kind of like lost. I was still fine. Like I would still consider myself to be happy and that kind of stuff, but I was dealing with a life-changing event at an age that I didn't think I was ready for a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
I had no plans to have a kid. I like, yeah, there was no, like, I want to have kids. Don't get me wrong. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
excited now. And the thought of being a dad is like, that's exactly why this YouTube channel is starting, because
Mm-hmm.
like I want to eventually be able to get away from working at a location, and this could potentially be something. And if it's not, I'm at least taking steps in that direction. Um,
Sure.
so I was dealing with that at the time, and then I don't have any gym equipment. I live in a studio apartment out here because that's all I could afford when I moved here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I don't have anywhere to put a squat rack and stuff in here. So I bought some Elite FTS bands, but I bought them too big, and I could only do certain movements with it. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
great now that I have access to a gym because I use them for all sorts of different things. But to do
Mm-hmm.
like curls with them or lateral raises, like they were too thick. Like I could do chest press, I could do some rows, but like that was about it, and like leg stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a body weight workout guy. I don't consider myself a fitness person. I consider myself a bodybuilder. Like
Yeah.
that's what I fell in love with. I know that's where you started, and you kind of have transformed your fitness and what you do as far as fitness. But I very much still love bodybuilding, and that's my training style completely. So like
Yeah.
there was no real drive or motivation for me to go fuck around with a band for an hour. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Yeah.
like I'm not going to set it, like there was just no motivation. So I took it, honestly, I took it as like a 2 month rest period because I've got some like nagging injuries and stuff because I mean,
Yeah.
I've trained like an idiot when I was younger, and
We all did.
tore this labrum in a car accident last January.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So just like little stuff like that, that I feel great now. Like my elbows feel good. My shoulder feels fantastic. I always have to work on my hips because I sit a lot. I got to stretch
Mm-hmm.
more, but most of my injuries are gone, and my strength didn't go anywhere. I
That's
can't.
awesome.
Yeah, it took me 1 week to get back up to the 130-pound dumbbells on incline bench. So like my strength is staying good, and I'm in a cut right now and still throwing around pretty heavy weights. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it honestly did my body good. So there's two sides of that, like a lot of people switched and went into the body weight stuff and just lifting their couch and lifting shit. And I was just like, I'm going to play Call of Duty.
I mean, I don't blame you, man. I mean, for me, it's such a, at this point, it's such a mental game. And I had cut my training down already. I was doing only 4 to 3 days a week
Yeah.
of working out. And so immediately when this shut down, I was like, I have to have something. So I ordered a pull-up bar / dip stand, or
Yeah.
like the power rack, whatever you call it. I ordered a TRX band, and I ordered a single kettlebell.
Yeah.
That's all I've had. And we had a couple bands and stuff like that. But I mean, it's been the strength difference between being able to do certain body weight exercises and being able to do like actually like weights is huge. And I found myself very weak in certain areas that I was like, I was able to press a lot of weight over my head. but I wasn't able to do like wall stand push-ups for the same,
Yeah.
for the same rep range. And I found I was frustrated at first, but then it was like, oh no, you just got to adapt to it. And now I'm, leaner and stronger than I was when I went into this thing.
Yeah, that's cool,
So,
man. That's awesome.
and it's been a neat kind of learning experience. And now I joke around with a couple of my friends that had similar experiences, and now we're just kind of like, well, are we really going back to the gym now? Like I don't even know if I want to go back.
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, I say that in jest. Yes, I'm very excited to go back to the gym.
Yeah. I mean, that first day I was able to get a barbell in my hand again, or a dumbbell. It felt
oh
so
yeah,
good to be able to move some weight again.
I really was struggling with, like, especially when it started back in Atlanta, but especially when I moved out here, it was like, there was a week when I first got here where I was like, oh, this is cool. This is technically where bodybuilding started, like out in Gold's Gym, California, Los Angeles, whatever. But I was really struggling with my workouts. Like, it was a chore to get to the gym, where it used to be like, I love it. And then this happened, and now I've been like really excited to like go out on my little like common area and do, where I have my pull-up stand and stuff, to do my workouts every day, because it's something different.
Yeah.
And now I think that whole thing has reset, and now I think I'll be excited to get my workouts in at the gym again, because it's different,
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I was kind of in a similar space, and I realized that it had been since 2017 that I had done a cut. And since then, like, I did a mini cut for a little while for the photo shoot that I did, but I didn't really put a ton of effort into it. Like, I was lean enough, but I didn't feel like being super shredded for it because of the way I was used it a lot for the website that I had built, and I didn't want to be like competition lean. I just wanted to be like, oh, that guy looks good, so it'd been like since 2017 when I competed in my last show that I've done a very hard cut. And I realized, so Equinox is awesome, but it's a much different clientele than what I'm used to and what like my audience is on Instagram. These people, for the most part, don't know what they don't know what that looks like. They don't know what a competition.
Well, that's the mass. That's the masses,
Right.
I mean, that's not just true at Equinox. I'm sure it's true pretty much everywhere.
Sure. So it was like, I want to do a cut when I can get back into the gym and see and document the process to show these people what it takes. And like, I can now section that out of like, okay, this is where I started. I started about 13 to 15% body fat. This was me at 10-ish% body fat. This is me at this. And I can show people along the way the different steps I had to take to get there, and just that it's not as hard as people really think it is. It's just a matter of sticking to the same thing day in and day out. So like, those are the two things that I'm doing with this YouTube channel, is the podcast, and then the Peeled series of like just showing people this process and like documenting all of it. So kind of using this now as my motivation. Like, I found like you were saying that like your workouts were sucking and all that stuff. And I was kind of there at the same thing. And I felt like I was really spinning my wheels. I wasn't making progress and stuff like that. This cut has now completely re-inspired me to where I told a friend a while back, it's like, I feel like a bodybuilder again. I feel like I'm doing something again. Like, it's exciting to go to the grocery store. It's exciting to eat my meals. It's exciting to get up and do cardio. Like, I feel like I'm doing things again. And then it's also streamlining all the rest of my life. And I get so productive when I'm in this mode. It's just like I love getting big. I love eating. I love getting strong like that. But at some point it starts to get to where you're just like sluggish, and I feel lazy, and I feel like groggy. And I'd been dealing with that for so long because I was in the process of like trying to get as big as I possibly could. I mean, the heaviest I got up to, I know you said you only got up to 228. The heaviest I got to was 253. So, I mean, I've been doing that and trying to get bigger for the last 3 years, just kind of spinning my wheels. So I was like, let me do something different here. Let me just kind of switch directions. And it's kind of the
Yeah.
same thing of just reigniting that spark that I had kind of
Well,
lost.
just to speak to that, I mean, I think, yeah, I don't follow what, you would call bodybuilding anymore. But I think what I learned from that, and the kind of like Spartan mentality that it takes to do the training and to do the diet, I think you can incorporate that to literally any aspect of life.
100%.
And it will, and that discipline that it takes, not everybody has that. You know
100%.
what I mean? I think it can be learned to some extent, but I mean, it really is a gift to be able to discipline yourself like that. And you really have to want it. But what I found is that I trained with a woman in Atlanta, an acting coach in Atlanta, and she loves training athletes. She loves training actors that were athletes, because she says that you train like an athlete, you have that work ethic, and it takes that work ethic. And I think, I mean, I have people that approach me for, I had a guy come up to me, a friend of mine wants to do a writing project with me, because he wants that discipline, that kind of like trainer and athlete discipline, to say, hey, we got to have, you got to have this much written by this date. You got to have this, it's the same mentality over and over again. And you say you're productive in every aspect of life. Fitness is like a starting point.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And I wanted to touch on something you said there in that little speech, was like, it's not something that everybody has, and it's something that you can learn. And I will 100% say I'm one of those people that learned it, because I was not an athlete growing up. I don't want
Me either.
to be any confusion. I don't want there to be any confusion. I get asked constantly. I had a guy, I went to visit my buddy who works over at a new like luxury high rise over here in another town over. I had the front desk guy ask me if I was a Cowboys player. I was like, no, throw something at me. It'll hit me in the fucking face. I promise.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
So I wasn't an athlete, so I didn't have that discipline growing up. And it was finding bodybuilding that taught it to me. And it wasn't something that I learned overnight. It's not like when I did that first prep, it was like, boom, here it is. No, that first prep, I cheated like crazy. I would skip my cardio. My training started to get bleh. But I was telling people I was doing a competition, so that was the cool part. And then when I revisited it and that kind of thing, it was like, okay, that's what I did last time. What can I do this time to be a little bit better? And it's just every time it's just one upping to where like it all culminates to better each time,
Yep.
And
Yep.
I tell people all the time, where I am right now in my life is 100% attributed to me finding bodybuilding and the discipline of bodybuilding. Because
the same thing. Yep.
Because fitness and life are such a parallel, where it's like you get out what you give. The harder you work, the more you're going to get back, to a certain extent. So without fitness, I honestly don't know where I would be. And I can take that back to without SIGEP, I don't know where I would be. Without you, I don't, like, there's all these things that like that culminate to finding your path. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They'll come together and teach you things. And I think that's why fitness is so important to people in every aspect of life, because regardless of whether you're an actor or you're a personal trainer or you're a business guy, like whatever, fitness can teach you something if you actually take it seriously. Like there's a lot of people who fitness. Fitness.
Fitness.
Yeah, they do fitness. Yeah. They go to the gym for 30, 45 minutes, take a lot of selfies, do a few sets, and then leave. It's not fitness. The thing of taking care of your own body, like doing the diet, doing the training, doing all of that stuff, taking care of your brain, taking care of your body, like all of that parallels any success you can have in life. Yeah.
I agree 100%. And I think the same thing. If I hadn't found bodybuilding, I would still be incredibly insecure.
Yep.
If I hadn't found, I wasn't the most disciplined kid when I was in high school. I wasn't disciplined on anything, but I found something, and it comes from something as simple as seeing your arms getting bigger.
Yeah.
You find that discipline. You're like, oh my God, I did this work, and I'm literally seeing the results in the mirror. And you learn to just adapt that to everything. You want bigger arms? Great. You want to be in movies? Work.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's a beautiful thing.
That's one thing that I think a lot of younger people are missing now, because we do live in a society where it's like it's pretty easy to get most things
Instantly.
Yeah, exactly. And that aspect of like work to get something gets missed so often, like I can't tell you how many times somebody's come up to the club to purchase a bottle service table for over $1,000 using mommy and daddy's credit card. And it's like, that's great. Like if you want to go to a club and spend your money on alcohol and stuff, I've done it. I did it for my birthday. I had a blast. I spent a shitload of money, but I earned that fucking money. That was my money that I spent. But it's like this concept of just like, give me is, I think it's a disease. It's just as bad as this coronavirus, where it's like, it's infecting people at an enormous rate.
And it's not even just people that are living on their parents' dime or something like that. But I mean, just the idea of like Amazon Prime, you could order something and have it the next day. It's like this instant gratification thing, and the getting in shape and the time, the idea that it takes, usually most people take more than 12 weeks
for
to
sure.
get in shape. And to think that you have to work to something for 12 weeks, it's like, no, there has to be a quicker way. And it's like, no, there's not. There's not.
I mean, how many times, you have a lot more followers than I do, but I know I've been asked a million times, hey, how can I get lean for the beach? I'm going in 30 days. It's like,
and there is like, if somebody says that, I've learned, my response used to be like, I'm not the guy for you.
Yeah.
But now it's like, first of all, tell them the truth.
Yeah.
Say, you're probably not going to get lean, depending on where you are. If a guy you say that, if a guy that's like 18% body fat says, I'm going to the beach in 30 days, what can I do to get lean? There's a few things you can do that can like lessen up water weight, and you can probably,
lean out a little,
make some sort of transformation between 30 days. It's not going to be something that's going to like be like a night and day transformation, but there are people that genuinely think they can put in just a little bit of work and
look like they're about to get on stage.
Right? Yeah. And it's
about that guy that like, all right, I want to get as lean as I can in 30 days and get from 18 down to 14 or whatever. I'm talking about the guy who, like, I want to be like shredded at the beach and they're 20% body fat. It's like, brother, it's not going to happen. And that's not just men, that's women as well. Like there's just this like idea that fitness happens overnight. And now that I have been larger for X number of years of my life, people are surprised when I tell them that I was a stick. And it's like,
same.
Yeah, they don't understand that I've been doing this for almost a decade now, and like trying to get to this place. It doesn't just happen. I didn't just put in 30 days of work and now I'm 220 pounds at 10% body fat. That's not how that works. And that seems to like go straight over people's heads. And as soon as you tell them that, you tell them the truth, they're like, oh, I'll find another guy. And then another guy will tell them they can do it and take their money,
That's my favorite. Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the problem with the fitness world. So how has, one thing I really wanted to ask was like, how has your training and diet and everything changed from Gunnar in college, trying to be as big as you could, to now?
Well, the quick answer is there's a plan. There's some semblance of a diet. When I was in college, it was eat as much as you possibly can in a day, consume as many calories as possible in a day, and lift as much weight as you can in the 2 hours that you're going to be at the gym, and maybe you'll look good by the end of, And so, I mean, I was doing, I never calculated how many calories I was taking in college, but I'll tell you this. I would wake up at 6 when I was living alone at the province. I would wake up at 6 a.m. and I would take serious mass with a banana and a scoop of peanut butter. Serious mass by itself is 1,400 calories. And I would put it in a blender with a banana and a scoop of peanut butter and like milk, like whole milk.
I don't even want to ask what your shits were like.
I mean, I've like repressed them. I don't know. And then I would go back to bed. And then I would like somehow lumber to class. And then I would eat again and eat again for lunch. And we would go to like Emma Keys and get like a massive burger, like a double that's like this big. And then later we would go to the gym after that. So, I mean, there was no plan. There was no like nutritional guidelines. I considered it getting my greens in if I got like mixed vegetables with my teriyaki chicken. You know what I mean? So honestly, I think we called him Rob. When I started working with that guy, he gave me a plan. That was the first time I ever had a meal plan.
Yeah.
That's why I responded so rapidly to it.
Yeah.
And I think towards my senior year, I started to come down a little bit, but I didn't know what I was doing. And then, so I did this 8 meals a day bodybuilding plan, which, do you still do 8 meals a day?
No, I do 5.
I can't do 8 meals a day. It's exhausting.
The most I've ever done was when I was working with Don Long, and he got me to my heaviest. I was having 7 meals a day, and my total carbs for the day was over 900.
Wow.
Yeah,
was a stout meal plan.
Dude, it was the worst thing ever. Like, it was.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I was miserable, but I did take that meal plan and I said, okay, I liked the way that I looked on stage. It was leaner, it was trimmer. I want to kind of look like this. And I actually looked better. I got leaner after my competition. I looked better after I competed because my body was used to it. And I cut it down to like 6 meals a day. And then like a few months later, I cut it down to like 5 meals a day. And eventually I got to a place where I was like, I don't like cooking this much. I'm running around to auditions and, I'll be on set like this day and I don't have time to I'm not prepping meals. Oh, I've got to eat, craft services or whatever like that. And so it came down to like simplify. So I started doing intermittent fasting and I love it. I start eating at like 2 p.m. and I eat until about 10. And I have lunch is a pretty big meal and I have dinner as a pretty big meal. Mm-hmm. And then I have, so I'm probably I'm probably at like 2,700 calories for the day.
Okay.
And it's really effortless. It's very easy to come home and like make a meal or like to like finagle calories. Like, oh, I need, I have this many calories left. I can eat this food or, something like that. It just makes life easier.
Yeah.
And that's really been the thing and I talked about it with training a little bit. I mean, it's got to be easy. It's got to be something that I can do, because that's where people screw up, is if it's not easy enough to do, then they're doing it one day and then the next day they're like, oh, but I didn't have time.
Right.
So if I'm in between like going to set or like going to an audition and some days going to multiple auditions, I don't have time to do the 5 meals a day thing. So that was kind of the thing that was like, we got to structure down, we got to change, we got to make this easier. And also with the training to just kind of minimize the training.
Yeah. So how has your training style changed? I mean, obviously you already touched on, you've been doing a lot of like body weight stuff.
Well, that was entirely because of COVID. That had nothing to do with anything. But my training style, I really liked, I did the bro split for a long time, like the traditional bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Up until the point where I was like, I literally can't, like, I cannot go into the gym and do this tomorrow. Yeah. Like mentally, I'm just not there. So then I started looking at like full body days, 3 times a week, stuff like that. And then I didn't like the way I was looking.
Yeah.
And then I started doing like, I really like the push pull legs.
Yep.
And then what I've adapted is a push day, a pull day, a leg day, a rest day, a full body day. And that's where I am now. And I really, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I do the push pull legs as well. But right now, because so shout out to Equinox, but they kept paying us during
Oh,
shutdown.
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, towards the end, it wasn't the full percentage, but it was still 75%, which was,
That's amazing.
yeah, I mean, it was
I
great.
was furloughed.
Yeah, I know. I heard. But I mean, great, amazing company. But now, obviously, they have lost a lot of money because they had no income coming in. So now that we're back open, all I'm getting really is the couple hours that I get paid for floor shifts. And then I've just now started having clients come back.
Mm-hmm.
So like pay there has been rough. So the bouncing job, I'm having to do more days. So I work Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. And all those nights, I don't get back here until like Thursday night, I can get back around 3 a.m. But like Friday and Saturday night, depending on how busy we are, I went to bed this past weekend on Saturday night at 5 a.m. So
Wow.
yeah, so training on the weekends is very difficult. So my training cycle right now, I'm doing push pull legs so that I can keep my volume high over the week, and I'm doing a weekly rotation. So I do like push pull legs push, and the next week I'll do pull push legs pull, so that
Okay.
I get 2 push in a week, and then I get 2 pull in a week. Because my legs, fortunately, I respond fairly good genetically, so I can be fine with just one leg day. And then I'm like just varying volumes and intensities from there, like within the week as well. So like I've got like 3 different rotations going on with it. But push pull legs has been what I've been doing for like the last, like ever since I hurt my shoulder. So I was in the car accident on January 6th, 2019, or 5th. And then once I was able to start working out again, that's what I adapted, because I could work around the shoulder injury a little bit better and get more volume over the week without having to do so much in one workout. And there's got a lot of good benefits out of it, and it just kept going on. But so I feel you on that one. But anything else you want to say, man? I mean, it's been great catching up with you. It's like I said,
this was a really nice catch up, man.
Yeah,
I kind of forgot we were recording for a little bit.
Yeah, right. That's kind of what I want to do with this, man. And that's like the first person I interviewed was my current coach, Chris Tuttle, and it's a good interview, and there's some great information in it. But I think it was my very first one, and it's also one of those things where like I'm trying to sound smart, because he's an IFBB pro and he's a registered dietitian. So the dude's got his shit together, and he's been interviewed by people much fucking smarter than me. So like, I think I tried to force a little bit of it.
This felt very candid.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I want. I want these to be conversations, because like that I feel like that's just what people want, you know? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't know who Gunnar Anderson is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They know who Gunnar Anderson is on Instagram, and they might know the One Peck Wonder and that story, but they don't know the full like we've known each other for 8 years, man. Like there's a lot of time to know somebody, and we've seen both, like we've watched each other change over the years and in many different ways. So that's really my ultimate goal with this, is to make it as much of a conversation as possible, so it's just natural.
Well, I'm happy to do it again if you invite me back. It was really fun.
Yeah, for sure. So my I don't know when I'll be putting this out yet, but because my neighbor actually is a video editor, and he's putting together like an intro video for me with my logo and some pictures and stuff like that. He should be done with it here soon, and as soon as he shoots that over to me, I'm about to start cranking content out, because I have the 4th interview I've done. I've got one more to do after this. I've got one on Saturday, and then I've been editing like a day in the life video, and then I have so I've got a lot of stuff I'm ready to put out.
Nice. That's awesome, man. I'm very happy for you.
Yeah, I'd love to have you
For
back.
many reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, man, for sure. It's awesome to see like all like I'm sure you're just as busy as I am and can only keep up with people so much, but like that's the great part about social media is like we can still keep in contact and still feel like we
Yeah.
have a touch on their pulse at least, you know?
And I will say since COVID started, I have talked to more people
Sure.
like this than I would have on a normal day.
Yeah.
Reached out to a lot of people that I haven't spoken to in
Right.
since college, and it's been really nice. Kind of remind you like, oh yeah, I have friends.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right. Yeah.
it's very nice. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a natural thing. You know, we all get so focused on what we're trying to do and the lives we're trying to create, who we're trying to become. If it's not really on par with the other people around and we start to spread out, like it is hard to keep up in contact with people. But
Yeah.
this is great, man. It's a great way to catch up with you as well. Do you want to plug any of your stuff, like your social media or any stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, the only one that I'm ever active on anymore at this point is Instagram. I was never really big on Twitter. I've never been big on Facebook.
Yeah.
But Instagram is Gunnar Anderson, or it's Gunnar Anderson. Somebody still has Gunnar Anderson. I have messaged them many times to say, hey, they don't even post, man. They haven't posted in like 4 years. But my Instagram handle is @it's Gunnar Anderson. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you were the one peck wonder prior to that, and that's where it kind of took off, man. So that's
where it started.
It's been so cool to see that. I remember watching that Louis Marco video and being like, I know that guy. He's one of my buddies.
He did that video first, and then he did an interview with me like a year or so later. And he's
really?
a really nice, very nice guy. Yeah.
I don't know that I saw that one.
It's still out there somewhere. Hopefully I did okay in the interview. But
I mean, you did great here, man. So I appreciate you.
Great. Absolutely, man.
It means a lot that you would take just this little bit of time just to talk to me a little bit and shoot the shit, man. So I'll definitely have you back on. I'm sure I'll run out of people here eventually.
No, let's do it again. It was fun.
All right, brother.
Keep in touch, man. You too.